My name is Hung Mai. I'm based out of Orlando, Florida. And what I focus on is I help people launch luxury Airbnbs. And one of the ventures that me and my wife actually is focusing on this year is we're going to open up the largest nail salon in Orlando because there isn't one yet. And we've seen some of the model that have worked around the country, and we want to do that for Orlando as well. So that's one of the things that we're working on right now
I
as well.
love that. So, what would you say if you had to give a headline to your entrepreneurial career thus far, like the highlight reel? This is like what people kind of know you as like the biggest thing. What would your headline for real estate up until this point be?
My probably headline is most people know me as like the hospitality investor. So short-term rental, boutique hotel, and I think the hype is this year is like RV park. So that we're kind of looking into that as well. But yeah,
I like that name, the hospitality investor. That's so dope.
yeah.
Okay, and then last year, what would you say roughly was the amount that you made, like as that your businesses created?
Yeah, so I would say, are you talking about like revenue
Yeah,
or?
revenue
Okay,
last.
so last year we probably did 1.2 in
Ooh,
revenue
congrats.
last year.
Okay, and then was that your biggest year to date, or have you had a bigger year prior?
Yeah, no, that was our biggest year today for sure.
Dude, let's go.
Yeah, that I mean, I was so surprised because I don't really keep track honestly too. And when I finally got the email about like, hey, you might win some awards, and they asked me like to check what we've done, and I finally looked at it. I was like, oh shoot, like we've actually done pretty big numbers. So I'm really
I
excited.
had the same feeling back in 23 when I hired my bookkeeper and they did my P&Ls and they're like, "Oh, you crossed $1 million in revenue." I was like, "I did?" Wait, where's the money? Like I was looking at my bank
Yeah,
account like,
yeah,
where
yeah.
is it?
Where's the money?
That's why I learned the importance of bookkeeping.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
I absolutely love that. So do this. Take me back before those numbers. Because congratulations, like that's awesome. That's a milestone to cross the seven-figure revenue mark. Most
Yeah.
businesses never do that ever in their entire existence. But take me back before that to when you were just getting started. What did life look like for you leading up to entrepreneurship?
I would say starting in high school, I got introduced to um, entrepreneurship through a multi-level marketing company.
Oh, get out of here! Yeah.
And that was the first time I heard about the word entrepreneurship and just selling a product and I can get paid as a commission. And the first time I made a sale, I think I made like $20. But I was so excited about that $20. I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. I'm going to be rich, And that kind of started my personal development journey to kind of learning more about my thoughts, like my inner mindset and the way that I think is really important. And I didn't realize before that you can change what you're thinking about. Like if you're having
Yeah.
a bad day, you can really decide to keep having a bad day or changing around, or taking the circumstances that you have right now and using it as like a launch pad
Yeah.
to something else. And so I learned a lot of my mindset early on because of through that
You know what's
multi-level
funny?
marketing
A
company.
lot of people, like I know a lot of people that have tried out multi-level marketing back when they're younger, 17, 18, 19-year-olds, and they say like they never really made a dollar off of it,
Oh
but they
yeah,
never regret
exactly.
it because they said there was so much personal development imbued. They had you read so many books, you came out to meetings, and
Hmm.
they said the personal development side of it was almost more valuable to them than even the potential financial outcome.
Yeah, yeah,
So
for
that's
sure.
really cool that you were able to have that experience.
Yeah.
So MLM got you into the world,
Yep.
and then what happened from there? Did you just immediately jump into real estate and like things
No,
just
no.
started to
It
pop
was
off
it
right
was it
away?
was a couple of it was from one that business, and like you said, most people like didn't really make a lot of money in that. I think out of the 3 years that I did multi-level marketing, I probably made no more. I've never made more than like $1,000 or $1,500. But it was like always like the hope of like, oh man, I've seen that guy and he's my age and he's done X, Y, and Z, and I know I can do the same thing. And so it was like it helped me build the mindset and the callus. And then it was from one business idea to the next. And I think in total, I probably have went through like 7 or 8
Yeah.
before I got into real estate.
Oh wow, yeah.
And that was a lot of like learning to trust the process and not giving up, because giving up would have meant going back and working for my parents, which I hated, because the thought, I think the thing with most people is they want to do something else, but they never have, they never trust enough themselves enough to keep going long enough and
Yeah.
concentrate long enough so that a spark or a fire starts. But then they put so much effort into their job. Like when they're at their job, they're like on it so much, but they wouldn't do the same effort to the thing that they want to grow. Um, and that was some of the mindset battles that I had internally, where I was showing up to work at my parents' business,
Yeah.
and I was putting so much effort into that. But then when I'm back home, I wouldn't put as much effort into what I needed to do. But then eventually, a switch just kind of happened, and
Yeah.
I finally found an opportunity that really excited me, and that was kind of short-term rental, and that's how I got started.
Yeah, but it's funny, like just so on that point, so many times we do give our best efforts to everybody else and everything else, and we believe in them, right?
Yep.
We believe in their
Yep.
business and their vision and their dream. But
Yep.
then when it comes to our own, we give our leftover second best energy
Yeah.
and attention and time.
Yeah, and someone told me this too, is if you don't have a vision for your life, someone else will have a vision for
Yeah.
you in their life.
Yep.
And so that was kind of always in the back of my mind. It's like, okay, if my vision is not strong enough and clear enough, then what will happen is my parents will have a vision for me in their business, and that was something I didn't want
Yeah,
to
that's a
happen
scary
right
thought,
away.
letting someone else run your life.
Yeah.
So you tried multiple ventures. You eventually found your way to the real estate side
exactly.
through Airbnb.
Yeah.
How'd that happen? Because I know the story. This is a fun
Yeah,
story.
yeah. So that happened by accident. Everyone asked me how I got started in real estate and short-term rental. It happened by accident because that was I started managing short-term rental, or I started managing my family's long-term rental portfolio, and there was one property that wasn't renting out well. So I reached out to a buddy of mine that I met at like a Tony Robbins event
Yep.
like 2 years prior, and he talked about he was starting Airbnb. So I reached out to him. I asked him, "Hey, what do you think about this property? Will it do well?" And his comping was like, "Yeah, this thing will do well, but you're gonna need 15K to furnish the property." And at the time, I didn't really have a lot of money, and I just moved out as well, and so I was like, no, I'm not gonna put 15K just to buy furniture, because I don't know where these people are falling from the sky from.
Yeah.
Like you don't know. Like I think that's the biggest fear when people start short-term rental,
Yeah.
is because
Is anyone gonna actually show
you're,
up?
they're not. This is not someone that's signing a 12-month lease, right?
Yeah.
This is someone that's staying for a couple of days and then they're gone. And so the fear of most people that's starting is like, how do I know that there's enough demand that people will stay in X, Y, and Z? How do I know how to price it, right? Like I don't want to underprice it and not, and leave money on the table, or not be able to cover my expenses. And so I said, no, I'm not doing that. But like an opportunity came up when uh, the apartment that I was staying at, two of our roommates, me and my two roommates, we're staying at a 3-bedroom, 3-bath, and we forgot to send in our letter of non-renewal to the apartment, and so they made us stay like an extra 2 or 3 months. But my friends, my roommates, they were like, "Hung, you can stay here. We'll keep paying our share, but we're out of here." And so I convinced them to leave their furniture there, so that way I said, "Let me try out this Airbnb thing, and if it works out, like I'll buy the furniture off you guys. And if it doesn't work out, you guys come back in 2, 3 months and take your stuff like you're supposed to anyway. So
Yeah.
no harm, no foul." Long story short, put it on Airbnb, and within like a week, we got a 6-week booking for like 4K on a 2 shared bed and bath, and I was staying in the third.
That's
And
fun.
our rent was 2,100 with utilities, and so I was like, "Oh my gosh!" Like
Plus, you still had your old roommates paying their portion of the rent.
yeah, exactly.
That's crazy.
Exactly. But to me, I was like, "Oh my idea was I just wanted to cover their rent."
Yep.
But I never would have thought that it would cover way more than that. So that got me really excited. And but long story short, I ended up getting kicked out of that apartment because they found our listing on Airbnb. Uh, Tip: do not do it behind uh, a landlord or apartment's back. Just be transparent and make sure it's okay. But that gave me the proof of concept I needed to go back to that house. And I was like, okay, like F it, I'll, if it works out, then it like the one philosophy I always heard from Mark Cuban, and he says, like, no matter how many times you fail, you only need to succeed once.
Yeah,
Because once you succeed once, all the other failures like dissolve and goes away.
it's
Like no
true.
one remembers the failures anymore. And that's what I've always clung to. And I was like, okay, like if this thing works out, this is gonna be amazing. And if it doesn't, I'll just work and pay off my credit card.
Dude, I love that. And you know,
And
it's funny because, like, on that note, by the way, I was just with Alex Ramosi a few weeks ago,
uh-huh.
and we had a conversation on the same thing. He said, people forget you only have to get rich once.
Yeah.
Like, you only have to get rich once.
Exactly, exactly. And all those failures, like everyone's gonna forget, and they're gonna be your biggest cheerleader, and they're gonna tell you like, "I always knew you could do it,"
That's so
right? And
good.
so, and so, I said, I maxed out all of my personal credit card. I had, I think, like maybe 25K in credit limit, and so I maxed it all out, and we furnished it, and by the grace of God, like one turned into two, and two turned into four, and now we have about 15 under management, and we're actually looking at another management company that we're buying as well, that we're
Dude,
underwriting for another 15. So, that's kind of where we're at right now.
dude, congratulations. That's
Yeah, yeah,
awesome. So I love this, and I like the story of, like, you were just figuring it out. You were trying things, and it wasn't the first thing that worked out, but you never gave up. You're a very resilient person. It's actually one of my favorite traits about you, man.
yeah.
You have become one of my best friends
Thank
over
you.
these last several years. Like, I genuinely mean that. You are one of the most authentic human beings ever. Hospitality is like your bread, like butter, like it is in your blood. You know how to take care of people. You know how to make people feel special. So I always appreciate that about
And you
you.
know how? It's because I grew up in the nail salon. And so I was always um, used to talking with, you know, um, angry moms who come in, with their nails broken. And I had to de-escalate because not a lot of people in my parents' nail salon knew how to speak English.
Oh
And so
yeah,
whenever there's like a problem, they would like call me up and that's like talk to the customer, making sure like we de-escalate and make
yeah.
sure like we do something to help them be happy again. And so I got a lot of my skill, like my communication skills,
Yeah,
through the nail salon, speaking with angry moms that come
that's so
in.
good.
And so yeah.
So let me ask you this. Take me to your personal rock bottom. In entrepreneurship, we all experience rock bottoms. We experience low points. And sometimes those low points don't get communicated on social media
Yeah.
because it's our social media. We want to share our wins. We want to celebrate with our friends. We want to document and journal our highlights as we go on. That's at least how I use my social media. But sometimes our low points, my first instinct isn't to take out my camera and start filming
Yeah,
myself
yeah, yeah,
at rock bottom.
yeah.
But bring me back to one of the most painful stretches that you had before things started to click for you. Do you remember a time like that for yourself?
I do. And I feel like
I love
I
like the
feel like
hesitation.
I feel like I'm special because I have way too many low points. Which one do I choose?
Oh, that's so good.
um, but I'll choose one. Like I think one of the saddest part about trying to pursue something is that the people that you're trying to do it for is usually the people that put you down the most. And for me, I've always wanted to do good enough so that way I can, take care of my parents and take care of my future family.
Yeah.
And I remember, you know, uh, there was one point in time when I was doing the multi-level marketing, and I was spending money that I was making, and my parents could see that I was spending like $100, $150 every month buying these products, like these auto payments, right? And my mom came home one day and she was so angry. She took all of my stuff in my room and she threw it out in the driveway. And our house is like on a hill,
Yeah.
and so all the products was like rolling down the hill, and I had to go out there and I had to go pick it up. like one by one, and it was like cases and cases of them. And so like just through that moment, you know, I had to make a decision like, you know, do I keep fighting this uphill battle, or like do I just cave in and keep following it? And I have to really brainwash myself and remind myself of the vision of what I want in the future. And I think early on, I was so affected by what my parents say, obviously, because your parents just know what buttons to push, right? I remember listening to a Les Brown audio, and he was in like the stadium, and he was talking about how he was playing chess or checkers with his daughter, and he talks, and he kept winning and he kept winning, and it was kind of getting late, and his daughter is now like not letting him stop because she wants to win, and he's like, hey, let's go, let's play again tomorrow, and she's like, no, we're not stopping until I win. And that was one of the mentality that I had picked up. And I remember when I listened to it the first time, like I cried
Yeah.
because I was like, either I'm gonna quit, might as well quit now, or you're gonna keep going. And 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 uh, that was just one instance. There was so many others where I love my parents, but they they do not hold back. They do not hold back at all. So if you're Asian and you can, and you live through a Asian household, you can do anything. You can become president even if you're not a citizen. Okay, and so yeah, but
That's
the harsh words that my parents all use, I think a lot of people use a clear vision
yeah.
of what they want. One of the things that I learned is like I get really motivated when I take the the um, the insults that I get, and
Yeah.
I remember all of the insults that my parents used to give me, like you know, like uh, um, uh, what is it? It's uh, like, why are you dreaming so much? Like, you've done this for X amount of years and it hasn't shown anything. All of those little comments, I remember I wrote it onto a sheet of paper and I stuck it on my wall. So that way, every morning when I woke up, I can be reminded of all the things that would be right if I give up.
Mm.
And so that was kind of like what kind of keep me motivated to keep trying and keep being open-minded to
Yeah.
some of the opportunities that are out there.
Well, you know what's crazy? That's been a common sentiment with the people I've interviewed, where they said they found a way to take all the negativity that's been thrown at them and turn it into fuel. That they look at the things that would normally cause other people to stop, justifiably so too, and they're
Yeah,
like, no, but I took that and I used that as leverage to keep going. And I love what you said, the fact that you're like, I said like these are, if I give up, I make these things true, and I don't want to make these things true. And
right.
by the way, dude, I almost just cried just now when you just told me the story about like your mom throwing the stuff. And I love your mom. Your
Yeah,
family's
yeah, yeah.
amazing.
No, she's
But like I
amazing.
just like pictured you outside because I know your house, dude. I know that little hill.
Yeah,
And I could
yeah, yeah.
picture all the product rolling down.
Yeah, yeah.
So shout out to you, testament to you for not giving up. Because those rock bottom points are inevitable. They happen to everybody on their journey.
Yeah.
And the fact that you were able to push through that, and the fact that like you tapped into an audio, you tapped into Les Brown, and really it caused you to tap back into yourself and make a
and,
decision.
and, and also too, I think one of the big things was when I separated my own like wants and needs to some to someone else as well. And one of the biggest fear that I had, and someone that I'm really close to, is my brother, my little brother. Sometimes I talk about him, my voice crack, but really I love him so much, and it's just me and him. And so uh, my biggest fear growing up was that when he graduated college and he asked me, you know, how do I make money,
Yeah.
that I didn't have an answer for him.
Mm.
And so I didn't want to be the big brother where if he like if he asked me, hey, like how do I make money? Like how do I make a living? That I can't give him at least my version of,
This is what I did.
this is like this, the blueprint that I use
Yeah.
to do it. That was kind of like my biggest fear. So I didn't want to do that. So that was kind of one of my big driving point
Well, you
as
know what?
well.
Those sort of driving factors matter because I know for me, I felt the same way. It wasn't for my siblings, but it was actually for the kids I used to coach. And I remembered as I was stepping into adulthood and feeling so lost and feeling like I needed to figure out adulting. And
Yeah.
it felt like adulting meant giving up who I was. And I was like, there has to be a better way. There has to be a way where I get to hold on to me. I get
Yeah.
to be authentically myself. I get to be happy, but I can also make a crap ton of money.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I wanted to show that way to the kids that I was coaching and working with back then. So I understand that really well. So what I want to know from you, Hung, is what would you say were some of the biggest obstacles that you kept hitting over and over and over that maybe took you a little too long to learn? Stop hitting my head against this wall.
I would say the biggest obstacle is not asking for help sooner.
Mm,
Not asking for help sooner.
yeah.
Um, Keeping my problems to myself. Because coming to conferences like this, being around people that have already surpassed some of the goals that you've done, and so your goal might be their normal.
Yeah. Ooh,
And
that's
so
good.
to, instead of trying to figure out on your own, pay to come to an event like this, or pay to come into a mastermind room, or pay to come into, your mindset community. So that way you can be surrounded by people who have already been through the ceiling that you're trying to get through, and they can literally like magically open up the door for you instead of you having to try and figure out how to, run through that door.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably the biggest thing, is finding who has the result that you want, and surrounding yourself with those people as much as possible,
Yeah.
so that way you can really normalize the goal that you want. Because sometimes in our head we think that our goals are something that's a little bit far reach, but when you're next to someone that have exceeded your goal multiple times, like it's like, oh, that's so easy, like why don't you do this and this. Yeah, I would say that's probably my biggest thing.
That's big. I do believe in the power of proximity and getting around people. I like what you said, like where their ceiling or your ceiling is effectively their floor. And
Yeah,
it's like to them it is what you think is impossible is just a Tuesday to them.
exactly,
That's so
exactly.
good. So let me ask you this: what beliefs about money had to change for you, and or even about deals or about business? What beliefs about money, deals, or business had to change for you in order for you to start winning?
I think I would say one of the belief is that making money had to be hard.
Mm,
That, I instead of focusing on what it is that you want, try and focus on what value you can bring to someone else,
yeah.
and get out of yourself. I think sometimes we're so focused on like our situation of like, I got bills coming up, I got debt servicing that's coming up,
Yeah.
I got a lender that wants their money back, right? And so you're so focused on yourself that sometimes you're stuck in your head. But if you just step out of it, and you can see what benefit can you bring, what value can you bring, what services can you bring to someone else that they would happily hand you money. I think that's probably the one mindset that I would tell someone, is to just get out of their head,
Yeah.
so that way you can really figure out how you can add value to someone else.
I like that because one of the things I've learned personally is money chases value.
Hmm.
And rather than us chasing money, we just need to become more valuable because then the money will flow as a result of value that we provide. So
Yeah.
working on becoming more valuable. I know you listen to Jim Rohn. I listen to Jim Rohn a lot.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things that just listening to his lessons, I found to be extremely true when I experimented with, let me test this out in real life. And I found those words were ridiculously true.
And you know what? I would say one of the hacks that I would tell my younger self too is networking with people who have the the target audience that you
Oh,
want.
yeah.
Because by you trying to claw your way and reaching those audience yourself, it could be so much easier if the person that you meet that have the audience that you want already can just pick up their microphone and speak to their audience for you and make the introduction. And just by doing that,
It's
like
leverage.
it makes everything so much easier. And now business is coming to you instead of
Yeah.
you having to you know gratify yourself and edify yourself to make it to where people would trust you, versus if someone can just make the introduction for you, which have happened so many times through the hallways here
Yeah.
for me as well.
I mean, that's a great point, and that's why I think we come out to these sort of events to put ourselves in the room, connect with people who have our audience, who have our customer, who have the people that we're meant to serve, that we can bring value to.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you 3 more questions. The next question is, from the time where you from the time you got started, right, when real estate, because that's been like the main thing that you've been focused on the last several years in the hospitality business with the short-term rentals and mid-term rentals, from the time you had that first little win, how long did it take, or just even from the start date, how long did it take for you to feel somewhat comfortable, like I've got a little bit of breathing room? Because I remember when made my first couple of checks, it didn't change my life in the sense of like I'm ready to retire and I
Hmm.
feel like all my bills are covered and I feel like I can ease off the brakes. And it took some time before I'm like, okay, I now finally feel financially secure. Even though I've been making money up until this point, I now feel at a place where I am now like, I can
Yeah.
like take a little bit of breath.
Yeah.
'Cause I think people think that happens right away, or
Yeah.
maybe for you it did. I don't know. But how long, or maybe it's still in process, and you're like, hey, we're
Yeah.
not even there yet, where we feel like, we could fully like take that first sense of like, cool, we're settled, and like
Yeah.
we still have more to grow. But I feel like
Yeah.
I've hit a milestone where financial stability or security has now occurred.
Yeah. My success marker was very simple. Like I remember it. My success marker
What a good
is,
term, success marker. I
yeah,
like
like
that.
to me, success early on was, I've always had this problem where when I was going to, go to a restaurant, I don't eat what I
I knew it
want.
was going to include food. I
I
knew
don't
it.
I don't eat what it's like you never eat what you want. You eat what you can afford.
Yes.
And that was me early on. And so for me, like I said to myself, if I can ever make enough money to where I don't have to look at the on the right hand side of like the menu item, that to me was success already. And so I was not far reaching for anything like granular or anything
Yeah.
like that. It was really just, can I afford whatever food was on the menu without having to look at the price, and can I afford to pay for dinner for all my loved ones without having to think about, how much is this going to hurt me.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
I'm able to do that now, and I love being able to provide for my family. I really don't care being the person who pays for anything, because I know like that's why I work so hard for.
Yeah. I love that. And I love that you had a purpose for the money. So, like, how long did it take when you were finally able to get to that point? Was that a right away kind of thing? Was that it took you a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years? Just because, like, sometimes, again, on social media, we see these moments and we think, oh, it just popped off or hung
Yeah,
in
yeah.
a matter of a week.
Oh
And
yeah, dude. Mine thing was an overnight success. It only took
yeah.
like 10 years, Like I would say probably like just like I would say probably recently within the last like 12 months
Yeah.
is probably what is when I'm able to do all of these things now. And like I, even for traveling,
Yeah.
for expenses, because through my businesses I've been able to accumulate a lot of points.
Yeah.
Like I'm able to provide flights to my parents, and like this coming summer, where for my brother's wedding, like I'm booking both my parents like business class flight
That's
from
awesome.
Orlando to Vietnam, and they don't even know it yet.
Oh, that's
so
awesome.
so
Hopefully
like
your parents aren't watching this
so yeah,
podcast.
trust, they don't watch podcasts,
Yeah.
don't worry. So yeah, like that's gonna be a surprise that I'm really excited to like share with them. And so it's gonna be really exciting
Yeah.
to see their
And that's so cool, man. Because I mean, I remember meeting you, and like you and we met. We were telling someone last night. We met what 5, 6 years ago at a
yeah.
conference in Las Vegas. All those years ago. So you've been on this journey for 5, 6, 7 years, just on the real estate side of
Yeah.
things. And now you're at that season where you can start to do some of the things that you wanted to do and that you wrote about and you dreamt about from early on.
Yeah.
And it's because you haven't given up.
Yeah.
You know,
My thing is always to like when I meet people that I really gravitate toward and I know that I want to build a long time friendship with,
yeah,
I always think, how can I give to them, in whatever way I can, because it always come back one way or another. Through the universe and through God,
yeah,
He always provides. Even in my family's business, there's been time where there've been super short staff. A nail salon that's supposed to have 10 staff, and it came down to just my family of 4 or 5 people. And my father was having like his arm was really hurting, but for some reason, like by next week or by within a month, we would find new employees that would come out from nowhere under the rocks that
yeah.
just moved into town. They're like super looking forward to working there, and it was just there was always a sign of like God looking after me and my family. And so I know that whenever I come across people that I really vibe with and that I want to build a long time relationship with, it was exactly that moment to where when I first met you at Kevin Cho's house,
Yeah,
and you made a comment about my sweatshirt, like
I love that. The
yeah,
Grateful
the
sweatshirt.
grateful
One of my favorite
sweatshirt.
sweatshirts, by
And
the
so
way.
I was like, oh dude, take it, like, if you love it so much, like, take it. And like, to
By the
me
way,
that
I
was
was blown away by that gesture because I was like, really? And you were like, yeah, and like you were so adamant on it. And I was really appreciative of it because I was terrible at like receiving gifts or blessings back then. So like that meant the world to me. I still have that sweater in my closet, by the way.
and where I got it from, it's just my parents just kind of showed me like, um, always just help people because people have helped them when
Yeah.
they first came to the US. And they've always taught me is like just always give back and help new people that have came to the US or new people that you've met, because you never know like how who they're going to become to you and how important they're going to become
Yeah,
to you as
I love
well.
that. So let me ask you two more questions. One, what would you say is a daily mindset tip you would give for somebody who is in the space of entrepreneurship? They're building a business, they're wanting to build a life on purpose, they're very intentional. What's something that you would suggest that maybe they do as a daily mindset hack?
I don't know if anyone is religious or spiritual, whoever your God is, but to me it's like Jesus Christ.
Amen.
And I always wake up every day, and before my feet like hits the ground, I always try and do a small prayer and just tell God how grateful I am for like the blood that's pumping in my body, the heart that's working by itself, like, the air that I'm breathing, the wife that I get to, be next to right now. It's all like by God's grace that I've gotten all the things that I got. And I'm just grateful for the simple things, because when you're healthy, you have 99 problems, but when you're unhealthy,
There's
you
only
only
one
got
thing that
one.
matters. Yeah.
Oh, and you want to get healthier,
Yep.
right? And so just being grateful for being able to move your 2 feet, being able to work out is such a huge blessing. And by you being aware of that, all of your other anxiety goes away. And Tony Robbins says it is, you can't be grateful and anxious at the same time.
Yep.
And so if you're feeling anxious, it's because you've forgotten all the great things that's already happened in your life, like the people that's in your life, the things that you have in your life, the health that you have in your life. You don't know billionaires that would love to give everything away just to have their
Amen.
health
Yeah.
back, right? If that they have cancer, no amount of money can give them health back. And so yeah, to me that would be the one big tip. It's just first things first, be grateful for, tell God or tell whoever it is your God, be grateful for what, name 2 or 3 simple things that you're grateful for today, that, he woke you up today, right? Because I saw an interview of someone on the streets, and they asked him like, hey, if someone gave you $10 million, would you take it? And like like would you take it?
The as depends on if there's any strings attached.
Right, let's say there's no strings attached right now.
I'll take 10
Yeah,
million.
you'll take the money, right? $10 million. But let's say if it's contingent that you don't wake up tomorrow,
I'm not taking
would you
it.
take the 10
No.
million? So that means you waking up today is worth more than $10 million.
Yeah.
You're already you're like, you should feel like you're $1 million just by waking up today, right? And
I
so
like that. I like that a
that's like
lot.
the things that I always try and remind myself, so that way I can get grounded, and then I can go and do all the crazy things of the day. Um, So yeah, that would be my one tip.
Man, I absolutely love that tip. I
Yeah.
a big believer. Have your faith, have your spirituality, say your daily prayers. That's huge.
Yeah.
So, Hung, for the people that are watching this and they are thinking to themselves the same thing I think, which is this man is so handsome and he's so kind and he's so loving. Like, and I want to connect with him. How do they connect with you? How do they find you? Where do they got to go?
They can find me on Instagram. So Hung, Hung, V as in Victor, Mai. And I'm most active on Instagram and soon to be on YouTube as well. I have my first YouTube video coming up soon.
Let's go. So,
So
guys, I'll put Hung's contact down below. I'll put his IG, his YouTube, all the things. And Hung, final thing, I want you to pretend that that camera is a person who is just getting started in entrepreneurship. Maybe they feel stuck. Maybe they aren't just getting started. Maybe they've been doing this for years, months, weeks, but they feel stuck right now. What do you have to say to that person who feels stuck?
if you're feeling stuck, I would say think of it like you're at a campfire. You're feeling stuck because you've moved away from the fire too long and you're getting cold. So what you need to do is surround yourself with other people around that campfire and stay warm. Find people who are doing what you want and be as close to them as possible. Move away from where you're living right now would be probably one of the biggest tip I have, because by being in your environment, there's just something about moving out that you get these creativity juices flowing. And also, one other thing that I can leave behind is from Les Brown. Others' opinion about you does not have to become your reality,
Mm.
right? And that's something that when I heard made such a huge difference, because I always thought someone's opinion about me is true because I think about it as well. I was always told that I was slow, that that I talk too much, and now those are some of my huge, biggest attributes. Is because I'm able to have really great conversation with people like you and have really made long time, long life friends. And I cherish that more than any money in the world. So yeah, believe in yourself and keep believing and think much bigger, much sooner.
Such good advice. Hung, thank you so much, dude. I appreciate you for doing this, bro.
Yeah, man.